Hey, what's up, Lamont? All right, guys. So we got the SPY down here. I'm gonna do the poll as we do for these earnings calls. Bullish or bearish on Alphabet stock earnings, which is GOOG. Yeah, market's down today. You can see the SPY down to 390.70s. Let me know if you can hear the music as well. We do have the poll going. Hey, what's up, Eddie? All right, so we're gonna do our poll here as well. I'm gonna make it a 2-hour long poll. All right, so we got the SPY, Q, we got SPX. Big one today is Google, and Microsoft is also happening today. You can see Google is down to 105s. Hey, my man Bulldog, what's up, brother? Thank you, man. Appreciate the support. Just getting this Twitter poll out, guys. Let me know if you're bullish or bearish on this report. We're going to be dropping all of this here also. I think we're running out of space there. And Fed meeting tomorrow, man. Yeah, we got big numbers this week. I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna go grab a water. Shout out to my man Bulldog. We appreciate it. Thank you, bro. Appreciate the love, brother. Thank you, man. But yeah, so let me. We got the earnings report live. Vote on the Twitter poll we got going on as well here. We do have a Twitter poll going on. Vote on the poll, calls or puts. Let me know what you're buying today. Big week. Today, tomorrow, and Thursday are going to be some really big days for earnings. And not just earnings, but the broader stock market. We got the FOMC Fed meeting where we're going to raise their lowest rates. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., we've got Microsoft and Google earnings, basically Alphabet. A lot of people refer to it as Google, but it's technically Alphabet. That earnings report is going to be coming out live in about 29 minutes. And then the earnings calls today as well. And we're going to be going over that. We also have Microsoft earnings also today, guys. Microsoft earnings. And so y'all be ready for those dropping. Tomorrow, I believe we got even bigger earnings tomorrow. I think tomorrow we have, let me see exactly what we got going on tomorrow. Tomorrow we do have some big numbers. The Google earnings call today, guys. Yeah. The Google earnings call today is going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So at 5 p.m. So about an hour and a half is when that's dropping. It's going to come out about an hour after the actual earnings report. And then tomorrow we got even bigger earnings reports coming out, specifically T-Mobile, Boeing tomorrow. And then so we got some interesting stuff going on. Shopify, Spotify, Hilton, Kraft, Humana, Waste Management, ADP, T-Mobile, Meta, Ford, Qualcomm. You know, we got some big earnings reports dropping tomorrow as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. To see kind of what payments have been like. I haven't really been paying attention. I mean, no offense to Google, but I make so much more outside of Google in terms of like YouTube that, I don't really rely, no offense to YouTube, but I don't really rely on those payments from them. You make so much more money from sponsors and affiliate advertising as a YouTuber. Apple and Amazon, think Thursday, bearish. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. It really depends on how the market's going to react. I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab a water real quick. But yeah, it's second quarter earnings, right, today, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, second quarter. Let me know what you guys are watching. Looking at the poll, we're split again. 26 votes already. 54% are bearish. 46% are bullish. And yeah, I'm gonna send you a message right now, Bulldog, about that meeting, man. It's just been hectic, bro. My son, we thought my son's fever was gone, but he actually spiked another fever yesterday. And so we're waiting, we're not really in the clear until we go 24 hours without a fever. And so we're still not quite there yet, unfortunately. So we're still kind of dealing with that. And then, as you know, we got some big days this week. And so, why is Google's float 12.25 billion? It's 1.42 trillion is the market cap. The float is, the outstanding shares 13 billion for Google. Let me post this everywhere too. Let me get this in our Discord. And as we're waiting for this, guys, I'm gonna drop this Twitter poll here too. Microsoft earnings as well. Bullish or bearish on Microsoft earnings also, guys. Let me know. Also, if you haven't already, give me a follow. Out of the last 3 minutes, we got 22 votes already. 50-50 split, man. There's a lot of splits, bro. People are pretty split in this room. Kind of shows you the dynamic between bears or bulls. Go ahead and give us a vote on Twitter here, but you can see we're a 50-50 split on this Twitter poll right here as well. So bearish on everything. How do I get the emails again? Okay, so you got my email watch list? I got you, man. Here, just give me 1 second. Beginnertrading.net/members. We're getting ready to send that one out too. But here's that link if you want it. Hey, my man JF, we appreciate the follow on Twitter. Yeah, we're kind of growing our Twitter, man. I've been a lot more engaging on Twitter. The reason I never grew my Twitter much before is easy. I just never really commented on it. Is Google cheap right now given all the valuations? I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think. Again, we got the SPY at 391s. I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab myself a water. I'll be right back. Here's a question for the chat here, guys. Here's a question for the chat. Are you bullish on Google long term? Google at 105.50s right now. Let me know if you're bullish on Google long term. And again, I'm going to go grab a water. Ultra bullish long term. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where I Google is the only social media company that I like long term. And the reason I like Google long term over everything else is because they've diversified well enough in business to be stable long term, in my opinion. I don't think you can make the same bet for Facebook or for Snapchat, even, or for any of those. I just don't think you can make that same bet. I think Google has been the most stable and has the most potential long term because of their diversification efforts with everything, man. Google is interconnected to everything from Android to from Microsoft to everything, man. They're just connected everywhere. And so I think because of that, Google's a little bit more stable long term than a lot of these other brands and companies. Hey, what's up, Arman? Hey, what's up, Ali B? Yes, sir. All right, so we got the SPY popping up. Is at 391.13. Yeah, for sure, Serpa. Hey, what's up, Armand, my man? What's up, dude? Hope you're doing well, brother. Yeah, so again, market took a little bit of a dive today. Snapchat getting back up there, back up to 975. All right, guys. So yeah, the SPY's popping back up some. Let's see what the SPY does here. We also have Microsoft earnings today as well, which are big. Should be interesting. Let's get ready to send our newsletter out. Yeah, there's the SPY pushing back up. So the market's rebounding a little bit here as well, guys. All right, guys. Ugh, gross, man. Is that the only caffeine I have today, bro? My daughter drank all my Celsius. Ugh. All right, guys. So yeah, Google at 105.50s. I don't think CPI is tomorrow. I think the FOMC Fed meeting is tomorrow on whether they're going to raise or lower interest rates. But I don't. Let me see. Yeah, the next CPI data release is going to be August 10th. So August 10th is the next CPI data release. So look at the SPY come back down to 390s here, down to 390s. But I don't think CPI is tomorrow. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure tomorrow is just the Fed meeting, the FOMC meeting. Right? Yeah, PGY going crazy today. If you want to see a stock that's absolutely going crazy, all the way up to 21, huge rip, huge move. All right, so 53% are buying puts, they say. 47% are buying calls. All right, guys, PGY down to 1680s. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure CPI drops. There's the SPY at 390. I'm pretty sure CPI drops August 10th. I don't think CPI drops today. Crazy earnings week as well. There goes the SPY back up to 390s. Let's see if we can break over. We just want to see the SPY hold over 390s. Regardless of the earnings today, we just want to see the market hold over 390s is the big thing. Personal income and spending numbers are Friday. Hey, you know I'm here. So buy calls. It's always a big casino, bro. That's how it is, you know. All right, we got the full call at 5 p.m. today, guys. The full call at 5 p.m. today. Hit that like button if you haven't already, guys. We only got 18 likes. We got about 80 people here. Earnings are going to be out in about 15 minutes, and so we'll have even more stuff coming out too. And so y'all hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and yeah, let's run those like numbers up. Again, we got the poll going on. We got 77 votes already. Bullish or bearish on Alphabet, Google stock earnings. 52% are bearish, 48% are bullish. PGY about to bounce off of VWAP. And again, we're going to cover the full earnings call here. So stick around, hit that subscribe button. We're going to cover the full earnings call. We're going to drop the earnings results as soon as they happen and cover the full earnings call as well. And so, yeah, stick around. All right, so there's VWAP at 16s. All right, guys, 14 minutes. PGY about to bounce. Yeah, CPI will be interesting, man. It's a big week for the stock market. And we'll see how everything reacts to everything. But it is a big week, and it's something that we all should be watching and paying attention to for sure. All right, guys. Pump BBAI. I never heard of that one, brother. All right, guys. All right, guys. Google down at 105.30s. 105.30s. Let's go. What's up, budget? Excited for the Fed meeting tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to be streaming that entire earnings call as well for the Fed meeting. Regarding the Fed meeting, we're going to stream that entire earnings call here also. So y'all be ready. Google dipping down here. Here's the 105 level. The lows of the day are right around 104.70s. 104.70s. We got about 11 minutes. 11 minutes until the actual earnings call comes out. Yeah, the PCE data is coming out. When is it? When is the PCE data? PCE data is Friday, which is personal consumption expenditures. PCE is basically measuring the products consumed by all households. Just to clarify, PCE comes out when? Friday, I think. Let me know. But yeah, guys, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We certainly appreciate it. All right, guys. So PGE's ramping up. The market's kind of dropping. Here's Microsoft, which is another big earnings release today. It got even more beat up. So, you know, so far we've had some bearish action in the stock market today. Bro, I need something else for caffeine, dude. I'm gonna have to get my wife to make me like a coffee or something, man. Because, dude, these, like, I've had these before, bro. I just don't like sweet coffee, man. And, like, even though it has 0 sugar. Ugh. Gross, man. It's too sweet, bro. I don't know how people drink these super sweet coffees. It's terrible, bro. One of the good parts about coffee is the bitterness. The bitterness wakes you up, you know? Like if it's too sweet, like I don't want a cinnamon roll in my coffee. You know what I mean? Oh, man. Anyways, bullish or bearish on Microsoft, guys. Microsoft has earnings coming out today as well. So y'all be ready for Microsoft earnings, team. Yeah, I don't put anything in my coffee. I might put a little bit of milk just to cool it down a little bit. I've seen some prices go down, but not all of them, obviously. Yeah. All right, guys. So Microsoft running up a little bit pre-bell. We got 8 minutes, guys. 8 minutes. Again, we're going to be covering the full earnings release. It's going to be released at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So in about 8 minutes. In about 8 minutes, everything's going to be released. And then the actual earnings call for Google is going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to check to see when the Microsoft earnings call is as well. I think the Microsoft earnings call is at 5:30. And so we might actually be able to cover both of them if you guys want me to. But maybe not. I don't know. It just depends, man. Maybe. But yeah, Microsoft up to 251.50s here. So Microsoft bouncing back a little bit. It's probably reeling the market back up some. Yeah, for sure. I'll have to try it out, Amir. All right, Microsoft popping up. Google up to 105.30s here, 105.30s. And again, we are going to be covering everything. We're going to be covering the full earnings call live as it happens. We're going to be covering the earnings report that drops. as well. The earnings report is going to be dropping sometime in the next, sometime over the next few minutes, most likely. Usually the earnings are released 15 minutes or less after the closing bell. So sometime in the next like 25 minutes or so, we're going to get these numbers. And we'll see what they say. But again, let me know your prediction on all this stuff now. Visa earnings also. Yeah, we got a lot of big earnings today, to be honest, man. Not just the ones I spoke about, but we got Visa. We got, let me see. We got we got Alphabet, Microsoft, Visa, Texas Instruments. Chipotle is dropping numbers. Yeah, so, and then tomorrow we got some big earnings as well. Thursday is the real big day for earnings, to be honest. Thursday is the big day. Also, next week we got some big earnings next week too. So this week was big, but next week we have even bigger earnings. If we're looking at Earnings Whisper, next week we got even bigger earnings release. Look at Microsoft and Google popping up, guys. We got about 6 minutes before the closing bell. 6 minutes. So Monday of next week we got some big earnings too. Let's see, we got Global Payments. We got some stuff. Kellogg's next week. Checkpoint, Alliance, Jacobs. And then, but the real big ones are going to be coming Tuesday and Wednesday of next week too. We got Caterpillar, JetBlue, Uber, Marriott, Ferrari. We got Sabre, Zebra, S&P, DuPont, a lot of big ones. And then I think Wednesday is the big one. I'll have to wait to see what the actual earnings calendar states. Microsoft popping over VWAP here, guys. We got 5 minutes. We got Moderna. We got CVS. Sunoco. Man, we just got a lot of stuff. American, Horizon. Thursday, we just have an absolutely huge day for earnings, man, to be honest. Thursday, just a ridiculous day. We got Alibaba, ConocoPhillips. We got Fiverr, Nikola, Yeti, Wayfair. And this is all next week. This week, we got even bigger earnings. We got Amazon, Apple, a lot of other ones. Google popping up, guys, at 105.80s. 105.80s here. We got 4 minutes until the earnings are released, guys. 4 minutes. Yeah, what happened to AMC? There's Microsoft. Microsoft over VWAP now. It's going to be dropping earnings today as well. We're going to cover all of this stuff as soon as it drops. As soon as this stuff comes out, we're covering it as well. Yeah, I try to tell people, bro. Nobody ever listens, but you know. I heard AMD is today. AMD's not today. If AMD was today, I'd probably be covering it. I'm pretty sure it's not today. At least I could check, but I'm pretty sure it's not today. I'd probably cover AMD over Google if you know, no offense. AMD is next Tuesday. So AMD is next Tuesday for earnings. And we're going to be streaming that as well. So hey, hit the sub button. My man, Nikola. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Honestly, it's just an exciting week for the stock market, to be completely honest. It's just a big week, man. We got a lot of stuff. Do we think this is a fake pump before the dump? Oof, I don't know. Certainly possible, but who knows, man? We'll have to wait and see. Momentum into the close. Bull trap it is. Hey, we'll see, dude. Oh, man. Let me get my send and blue numbers out. I'm going to send my newsletter out. And if you want to be a part of this, become a member. Becoming a member is completely free. We don't sell anything here. Yeah, James, it's not really much of a move, but you can become a member there. We're going to get ready to send our newsletter out. We got hundreds of people signed up to our newsletter, and we send it out every day for all the big events and more. Wait, where was it? All right, guys, so we got a little bit of a pump. AMC down to 14s here. Here's Microsoft. Again, we got about 2 minutes before the closing bell, and then the earnings are going to be released sometime after that. So yeah, we'll see. All right, guys, we got less than 2 minutes, guys. Less than 2 minutes. All right, guys, so we're going to be dropping this here completely live as we speak. Again, here comes the numbers, guys. We got less than a minute. We're sending out our earnings call right now. We're still sending out our newsletter for Google and Microsoft earnings right now. Yeah, we're going to send it out as we speak. There we go. And we should be good. Yeah, so we're sending that newsletter out right now. Guys, we do have a pop. Here's the closing bell. Here's the closing bell. Red box ribbon. Yeah, bro. It's been a while since me and AMD even dated here, you know. All right, guys, there's the closing bell coming up right now. Again, we got all our platforms up, ready to cover this news as it drops here. We're going to have both Google... All right, guys, so again, we got both Google and Microsoft numbers out. Going to wait for these numbers to drop. They should be coming out sometime soon. So again, if you get them, let me know. But waiting for these numbers to come out for both Google and Microsoft. Looks like Microsoft may have dropped something here. Microsoft tanking down here. I think Microsoft numbers are probably out is what this means, but maybe not. Nothing out yet for Microsoft, but a big closing reaction to this from Microsoft here. Again, kind of hanging out, waiting to see what we get. But nothing out for Microsoft yet. Nothing out for Google yet. Again, if you guys get the data somehow before me, let me know, but it should be out pretty soon. Nothing out yet. Microsoft, Google, both. Maybe it's just some volatility after the closing bell. But we should get this anytime now. Anytime, guys. All right, so Microsoft actually pumping up a little bit. Microsoft pushing up a little bit. Still nothing yet from Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft did drop their numbers. They dropped fourth quarter EPS of 223, missed the 230 estimates. So Microsoft did drop their numbers here. And we're going to cover this here. So Microsoft did drop their numbers. Again, Microsoft dropped a 223 EPS, missed the 230 estimates for Microsoft. Dude, why isn't it? Come on, man. Let me see. There we go. All right, so here's the Microsoft numbers. Google, we don't have anything yet. But Microsoft dropped fourth quarter EPS of 223, missed the 230 estimates. Still kind of looking at all the rest of the data here, but nothing out for Google yet. Again, we're going to cover the full earnings call as soon as it happens. So far, Microsoft is down to 247s. I can't imagine this is going to be good for the stock market. Microsoft missing their numbers here. But again, now we just kind of wait for Microsoft to drop their numbers. But yeah, Microsoft dropped fourth quarter EPS of 223, missed the 230 estimates, according to TOS. Yep, according to Reuters. So Reuters dropped this pretty early. Google, nothing out yet. But Microsoft did drop their numbers here. Microsoft dropped fourth quarter EPS of 223, missed the 230 estimate. Sales of 51.9 billion, missed the 52.47 billion estimate. So again, here's an updated Microsoft earnings release. Right there, Microsoft fourth quarter EPS was 223. Still not seeing anything for Google yet. So not seeing anything for Google. There we go. We got a big reaction from Google. Okay, so Google showed second quarter EPS of 121. Second quarter EPS of 121 per share, operating margin of 28%, operating income of 19.45 billion. Second quarter net is 16 billion for Google. Google advertising revenue came in at 56.29 billion. And again, we're going to cover this here. EPS of 121 per share, 121 per share, which is reacting really positively to this. Google all the way up to 110 or 110, basically 109, 110s now. Rejecting 110s. Google is now technically green on the day as well as we speak. But yeah, again, what I'm seeing right now is second quarter EPS is 121 for Google. Second quarter operating margin is 28%. Second quarter operating income is 19.45 billion. Net is 16 billion. Google advertising revenue is 56.29 billion. Second quarter revenue came in at 6.28 billion for Google Cloud revenue. Google Search and other revenue came in at 40.69 billion. So yeah, that is the numbers right now. Microsoft missed in terms of EPS. Sales missed as well. So Microsoft posted bad numbers. Here's the full Google numbers in a little bit easier to see way. Here's the full Google numbers. They dropped second quarter EPS of 121, missed the 131 estimate. Sales of 69.98 billion, missed the 70.35 billion estimate. And so Google initially reacted negatively to this here, or reacted positively to this. I mean, even though there were a miss on both sides. So yeah. Let me know what you guys think. So Google's still popping up to 109s here. Microsoft down after an earnings miss as well. All right, but Google up. And again, they dropped second quarter EPS of 121 cent per share. EPS is a gauge on profitability, so they were less profitable than expected. Again, they dropped second quarter EPS of 121 per share, missed the 131 per share estimate. Sales of 69.98 billion, missed the 70.35 billion estimate for Alphabet. So yeah, Microsoft bouncing back a little bit. So all targets missed for both companies. Correct, JF, correct. Everything missed on both sides, to be honest. Visa also have numbers here that are dropping. So Visa actually had some numbers out that people are claiming. So Visa came out, their numbers. I don't see Visas yet. Maybe I'll check Benzinga. But yeah, Visa actually did drop their numbers. I have to wait a little bit to get the actual updated news, but Google reacted positively to this, surprisingly enough. Again, it had a miss on both fronts, on both sales and EPS, which is profitability. But yeah, miss on both fronts. Alphabet second quarter EPS is 121, missed the 131 estimate. Sales of 69.98 billion, missed the 70.35 billion estimate. So yeah, so a miss on both sides for Microsoft and Google. Microsoft had a bearish reaction. Google actually had a positive reaction. Google was technically green on the day. And what I'm guessing here is that because Google was already down so much and the misses were small, especially in terms of sales, sales was only a very slight miss in terms of sales numbers for the second quarter for Alphabet. EPS missed by about 10 cents per share, but it wasn't a huge miss. And sales were almost break even. And so I guess because of that, and considering the fact that we had this big drop already, maybe it was already baked in, front loaded into there, is I guess what I'm thinking here. The earnings call is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to stream it live as it happens. But initially, Google had a positive reaction to these earnings numbers here. So Enphase, got you. 1 second. All right, Enphase put in second quarter EPS of 107, beat the 84-cent estimate. Sales of 530 million, beat the 504 million estimate. So it had beats on both fronts for ENPH. Microsoft started to rebound a little bit as well. It's in about 53 minutes essay. So we're going to actually stream it here on the stream. So you'll be able to hear the entire earnings call on the stream. We're going to mute myself and the music, and we're going to stream the entire earnings call as it happens in about 53 minutes or so. And so, yeah, y'all stick around, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, Microsoft bouncing back a little bit. Both Microsoft and Google missed on both fronts. So they both missed in terms of profitability, which is EPS, as well as sales. They missed on both fronts. Again, Alphabet second quarter EPS 121 missed 131 estimate. Sales of 69.98 billion missed the 70.35 billion estimate. So yeah, missed on both fronts. I'm curious to see whether Google holds over this previous closing price. ENPH had a beat on both sides as well. But yeah, in terms of Alphabet here, we have some other fundamental data that we can talk about, and we're gonna put a scroller at the bottom of the screen. So we're gonna put a scroller at the bottom of the screen, kind of detailing all of this stuff. So bear with me here for like all the numbers that came out for Google here in terms of like operating margin. And all that good stuff. So give me 1 second. We're going to put a scroller at the bottom that shows all of this stuff here. Operating income. And again, stick around. We're putting a full scroller all the way at the bottom that goes over everything. Q2 net for Google also came in at 19.45 billion. Again, initially we had a positive reaction for Google. Advertising revenue came in at 56.29. Revenue came in at 69.69. We're still holding over that previous closing price. Still going through all the fundamental data that was released. Cloud revenue came in at 6.28 billion for Google. And this is what I said. Google has diversified enough to where they're the only social media company that I trust long term. Google up there at 109.70 is about to tap 110s here. Just broke over 110s for a split second and got rejected there. So, yeah, we'll see what we get, guys. But we're currently building a full scroller at the bottom of the screen so you guys can see exactly all the data that was released regarding Google here. Almost done. So yeah, testing highs of the day here. Microsoft consolidating slightly green. All right, almost done. All right, Google up to 109.60s here. It's trying to hold. All right, guys. So we got the full. We got the full earnings thing here. Again, the earnings call is going to be streamed at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you look at the scroller at the bottom of the screen, guys, it shows all the data that was released today, including operating margin, operating income, net income, Google advertising revenue, Google Cloud revenue, search and other revenue, services revenue, other bets revenue, ad revenue, traffic acquisition costs, and all that good stuff. So you can see the full list of data that was released at the very bottom of the screen here. But yeah, so far we're consolidating. We're technically green on the day for Google. We are consolidating. Y'all do me a favor and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We certainly appreciate all the love and support, guys, if you could take the time. Again, my main philosophy here at Beginner Trading is everything we put out is free. So we don't sell anything. We don't claim to be an expert or a guru or charge for content. We just give everything away for free without claiming to be an expert. And we're just trying to be a community that's free. And so hit that subscribe button if you want to support content like that. We have bounced off of this 109 level for Google a few times. So we have bounced off this 109 level for Google multiple times now. So we'll see if that holds as some support. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Aiden. Hey, thank you, JF. I love the decentralization of financial news. Hey, man, but that's what we're trying to do, bro. I think there's just too much nonsense. Like, there's too many people selling courses on publicly available content for thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? There's just too much of that out there in trading. Like, you don't need that. Everything's out there for free. Like, this is the internet. I'm not saying you can Google and find a lot of these gurus courses out there for free, but we are on the internet. You know what I mean? I just believe in free. And, if you appreciate that, hit that sub button, because that's what we preach here. That's what we do. We don't sell a course. We don't sell content. Even becoming a member, like you can become a member here, but you don't get anything extra except for these emojis, which, hey. Yeah, big meeting tomorrow. The FOMC meeting's tomorrow. So that'll be interesting also. No, I've never been there, Aiden. I've never been on Beat the Story. All right, guys. So, hey, Google holding, though, man. Google reacted positively, even though both Google and Microsoft had both misses in both fronts, in both sales and EPS, which is profitability. They both are not doing as bad as you would expect with those earnings releases here. And so, again, we're going to stream the whole call. The earnings call is going to be in about 45 minutes. Man, I bought 5,000 in puts before the close. FML. Hey, I'm sorry to hear that, Amish. That's rough, brother. Are they all making videos trash talking each other? Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just not even say names. Like, y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't need to trash talk other people to grow. I'd rather just, y'all know what y'all know. Look, I don't want to say names, but y'all know that it's out there. Y'all know what it is, man. Other people might trash talk me, but that's because I'm threatening their business model. But if your business model is being sleazy, then it shouldn't be. Put Scooter, is there a chance? I don't know, man. I mean, they missed on both fronts. I think it depends on their earnings call and what happens here. But, to be honest, Google missed on both fronts. They missed on EPS, so profitability. They were less profitable than initially expected for the second quarter. They expected 131 profit per share in terms of EPS. They only showed 121. And so they missed on that front. Sales came in lower than expected as well. And so I'm surprised we had such a positive reaction. The only justification for it, I think, is we're down so much already. A lot of times the reaction is happening before the actual earnings release. So like traders are going to anticipate the earnings release and they're going to take their bias in that direction pre-earnings. And so, the last 5 days, you can see Google dropped a steady amount. And so now that the earnings are actually released, they're already baked into a certain extent. That's the only justifiable reason I could think that Google is up as much as it is from this earnings release. And that's fine. I like Google long term. Microsoft had a little bit more reasonable reaction to earnings, neutrally reacting to it. Microsoft missed on both fronts as well in terms of EPS and sales. But Microsoft is down after the earnings report, which is a little bit more, reasonable to expect. Again, it's one of the things with earnings that you never really know what's going to happen. But yeah, we'll have to wait and time will tell. Again, if you want to stick around for the earnings call, we're going to stream it live. It's going to go live in 45 minutes. Yeah. Ad revenue for Google, man, there's a lot of data out. Ad revenue for Google came in at 7.34 billion. Advertising revenue came in at 56.29 billion. YouTube ads revenue came in at 7.34 billion. Google advertising revenue came in at 56.29 billion. Net 16 billion. All right, so yeah, Alphabet reports lower second quarter earnings but higher revenue, and so shares are up. Again, we have this range right now between 109 and 108, this $1 range that I think is reasonable to watch. Careful on hyping after a stock pops, after a double miss. I'm not really hyping, man. We cover all the major earnings releases here. If you look at, hey, thank you, Aiden. We appreciate you, brother. Yeah, we don't really hype up anything. I mean, we just cover the reaction to it. I mean, these are such big these are such big stocks for the market. The rest of the market's going to follow this. And so, is anyone bullish on the Fed talk? I don't know. What are they expecting? 75 basis point rates, right? Something like that. And so I don't know, man. I think that's a good question. If y'all want to vote on that poll, hey, give me a follow on Twitter. We don't really have an Insta, but you can give me a follow on Twitter. And we're going to do a poll on Twitter as well. All right, so yeah, we're going to do a poll on Twitter now. So we're gonna do a poll on Twitter. All right, so Google technically red on the day now. You can see that light blue line for Google is the previous closing price. It's the level at which it goes from red to green and green to red on the day. So it's now under that line. Let's see if it actually holds now. So it's kind of going back and forth, completely neutral as we speak, slightly green now. Again, if you want to vote on our poll, yeah, EMPH dropped numbers. EMPH had earnings beat, though. They did better than expected on all fronts, I believe, right? Microsoft missed. Visa, let me see what the Visa numbers are. And again, here's the poll. The question we did on Twitter for this one is, does Google hold its gains after the latest Q2 earnings report? Yes or no? Vote on the poll. Let us know what you guys think. Here is the link for that if you want to check it out. Some people are thinking 100 basis points. It's certainly possible. I don't know if they will, but it's certainly possible. Last time the Fed talked about interest rates, yeah. So ENPH put in second quarter EPS of 107, beat estimate sales. Okay, so yeah, ENPH posted much better than expected numbers. A beat on both fronts. ENPH, as expected, has reacted pretty positively to that. Visa also came out with their numbers as well. Visa dropped an earnings beat, an EPS, and a sales beat as well. So Visa posted better than expected numbers as well. You can see Google actually dipping under the previous closing price, guys. So Google is now under that 108 level. A million basis points. Hey, we'll see. 75 is my bet. Yeah, I'm expecting 75 basis point rate raise as well, but who knows, man? Something I've seen over the last few months is, you don't know what they're gonna do at this point. Most people are expecting bearish action though. Hey, and we appreciate the follows, guys. Again, let us know, does Google hold its gains after the latest Q2 earnings report? Also, Microsoft here. So Microsoft is the other really big one here. It's down to 248s. A little bit more reasonable reaction for Microsoft, I think. In terms of Microsoft's, like, how much they missed it by, they didn't miss by much. They actually missed by less than Google did. Microsoft had fourth quarter EPS of 223, missed 230 estimates. So they missed that by about 7 cents per share. Sales of 51.9 billion, missed the 52.47 billion estimate. So narrowly missed in sales. And so Microsoft had 2 misses also, but it was pretty narrow there. So it wasn't some huge miss. Can y'all hear the music as well? You should be able to, right? I answered Meta puts. Yeah, big numbers this week are Meta. Meta's going to be this week. I think Thursday is Meta, right? Or no, wait, it's Meta tomorrow. So yeah, Meta is tomorrow. So is QCOM, T-Mobile, Boeing, Shopify, Spotify, Hilton, Sherwin-Williams. So Thursday is the big one though. Apple, Amazon, Intel, Roku, Comcast, MasterCard, Pfizer, Harley-Davidson, Merck. But tomorrow will be big as well. We're going to be streaming it all also. We got about 40 or about 39 minutes until this earnings is released. Honestly, was expecting a lot worse for Google. Crazy how they can maintain profitability in this environment. I know I said it in the beginning of the stream. I think Google is the social media company that I'm the most confident in long term, is because generally with social medias, they only have a specific lifespan in terms of like trending. Like social media companies usually only last for about 10 years. Look at MySpace. I grew up in the MySpace days, right? So I saw MySpace get big. You had your top 8. It was cutthroat out there with your top 8. And then Facebook slowly creeped up in around 08 and 09. And everybody kind of gravitated towards Facebook. And then once Facebook got there, then Instagram started popping off. And then Instagram got big. And then TikTok and Snapchat and all that stuff. And so generally speaking, social media brands usually have a very short lifespan. I think what Google has done, though, is Google has diversified themselves outside of social media to where they're interconnected to everything, whether it's Android phones. They diversified well enough to where I think Google's going to be very solid in hardware, software, long-term software, I guess. But I think Google is a little bit more protected than your conventional social media company like Meta or Facebook, to be honest. Okay. Well, Google has YouTube. Google is diversified outside of social media, I guess is the best way to put it. And yeah, maybe Google's not the best example, as Peter is being upset with me. That's all good. I guess Google started as a search engine and then branched off into social media. So maybe not the best example. What I'm saying, though, is that a lot of people look at Google and they look at YouTube. For me, coming from somebody on YouTube, I think YouTube's going to be fine long term, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Google missed both expectations, yes. But yeah, in terms of like actual social media companies like Meta, I think there's vulnerabilities long term in them because, well, frankly, people only use them for about 10 years or less. Again, the real question is, does Meta survive long term? Is the real question, and I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there. We're going to be covering those earnings as well. So Google just popped up over the previous closing prices at 108.20s. So let's see if it holds this level here. This previous closing price is a very relevant level. If you look at this light blue line right here, we'll make it big so you guys can see it. But this is a very relevant level. That's the red to green, green to red level. Yeah, so well, the numbers are already out for Google Wizard. The actual earnings call is going to be at 5 p.m. So if you want to see the Google numbers, they're right below me right here. So you can see the Google numbers here. They're right below. And then the actual earnings call for Google is going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe the Microsoft earnings call is going to be at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. Visa dropped numbers already. So Visa posted a third quarter earnings beat. I think Visa beat on both fronts. Yeah, so here's Visa. Visa beat in both EPS and sales. So here's the Visa numbers if you want to check it out. Yeah, there's Visa right here. Visa put in 198, beat the 174 estimate in terms of EPS, and then sales of 7.28 billion beat the 706 estimate. So good numbers for Visa. Chipotle numbers. What's the symbol for Chipotle? I think it's CHP, right? No. All right, it's CMG. Sorry, I know it was something like that. So CMG dropped numbers. They had a second quarter EPS beat, sales missed. So Chipotle dropped mixed results. They had a second quarter EPS beat of 9.30 per share, beat the 9.05 estimate. Sales of 2.21 billion missed the 2.24 billion estimate. So a narrow miss in sales. Now a sizable beat in EPS for Chipotle. Yeah, EMPH posted good numbers, right? So EMPH posted better than expected in both fronts. Yeah, second quarter EPS for Enphase is 107, beat the 84 estimate. Sales of 530.2 million, beat the 504.53 million estimate. Google is now below the previous closing price. So in terms of red to green or green to red on the day, Google is technically red now under that 108.21 level. Microsoft's kind of slowly creeping back up, but Microsoft's previous closing price is well up there, which means that Microsoft had a pretty rough reaction to everything going on today. So Microsoft is much lower on the day. Microsoft has been beat up a little bit more than Google here. Once the younger people started leaving Facebook and Gray Moss started hopping on, it was over. Yeah, I mean, Facebook, it's cyclical, man. Like somebody said it earlier, it is cyclical. It moves in cycles, and social medias only have a finite lifespan, unfortunately. And so, there'll always be some new up and coming thing. It's good for business. So it's like, if you want to create the next social media, you're going to have a slot open in about 10 years. So get to work. But, it's also bad for social media companies. I wouldn't want to be a social media CEO long term. I think I'd probably just want to take my money and run and let somebody else deal with it. Tomorrow puts are printing. Yeah, I mean, like I said, initially Microsoft had a little bit more reasonable of a reaction. Again, Microsoft dropped mixed result, Microsoft dropped a miss on both fronts in both EPS and sales. Google actually bounced from missing on both fronts. Yeah, and I think that might be why Google didn't have such a big reaction to this. Mateus, I think the reason Google didn't react hugely was because it was already baked in. If you look at if you look at a 10-day chart, you can see like Google's dropped pretty heavily over the last 10 days, and so I think this was baked in to a certain extent. Yeah, for sure. Y'all hit that like button. We appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button as well, guys. Like I said, everything we do here is free. We're truly like a free resourcing community. So we don't sell anything. We don't claim to be experts. We don't act like gurus. We just kind of give everything away for free without claiming to be experts or gurus or pressuring people to spend money on overpriced courses that feature publicly available content. We just kind of give it all away for free. So, yeah, hit that sub button, guys. Google push it up to test that previous closing price. Again, we're also going to stream the full earnings call as it happens at 5 p.m. in about 30 minutes. So, yeah, y'all be ready. Tomorrow puts will be printing. Yeah, let me know. Should we do another poll here? I guess we should, right? So far, bullish or bearish on Alphabet stock earnings. 57% are bullish, 43% are bearish. Let's do another poll here. Meta's dying within the next 10 years unless they just completely pivot into acquisition, which I guess they kind of are. Yeah, I mean, that's what they need to do. I think that's what they've been doing. You know, I think for Meta, you got to, like, your job as Meta is to acquire the next up and coming social media company, which at this point is TikTok. And, you know, I don't think they're going to be able to acquire them. I think TikTok, you know, they're rolling in money right now. And so, but there's going to be more that comes. And I think if you're Meta, that's what you got to do. You got to pay people what they're worth in terms of like acquisitions, and you know, you got to find some people or find some researchers that are going to do well in terms of future outlook on some of these social media companies. Basically, you got to figure out what the next big thing is and try to buy it before it gets big, and then wrap it into the Facebook family, you know, Meta family. Yeah, they lost $10 billion last year on the metaverse. Visa about to go negative. Yeah, so Visa already is negative. So Visa, the previous closing price on Visa is at 214.20, and so we are now underneath that. Microsoft has been red, in phase, positive reaction up to 230s. Oh yeah, the Mega Millions ticket is tonight. You got to buy some type of app, you know. All right, guys, so we're going to do another poll here. And again, the poll we're doing is, does Google hold the gains it's made over its Q2 earnings report? Yes or no? Does Alphabet, Google, basically, hold the gains it's made over the second quarter earnings report? Vote on the poll right now. We're asking in the chat that right now, so let me know. I think I got that right. Google dropping them fire beasts. Bust the freestyle real quick, man. Y'all are gonna have to pay more for that, sir. You know, y'all want to hear a John freestyle, man? You're gonna have to pay me to hear this voice of an angel. You know, you're gonna have to pay up, dude. You know. But yeah, the other thing is, like, I think Meta has just gotten incredibly beat up over the last few months. Once they dropped that they lost 10 billion in the metaverse, Meta just basically crashed. It was 320s before that. And so the question is Meta oversold now? You know, is Meta oversold now is the real question. And I don't know, man. I really don't know. But I think that's the question a lot of people are asking. And then Meta's got earnings this week, so are we going to see another crazy reaction to it? You know, Chipotle just killing it, man. Look at them. The float has got to be tiny for Chipotle, though. For them to have a price of $1,400 a share, what's the float of Chipotle? It's got to be like 50 million or something. Tiny like that, right? 27 million. So it's even smaller than that. So yeah, Chipotle is just wildly volatile then. But a tiny float, it's got like a small float for a 1,400, you know. It just to put it into perspective, guys. You know, Google is worth far more than Chipotle. The reason Chipotle is 1,430 is because the amount Chipotle has far less shares out there. So like Google has a ton of shares out there. If you look at the float of Google, it has 13.17 billion shares out there relative to Chipotle, which has like under 30 million. And so, yeah, Chipotle can be a $1,400 stock and still be far, far less than Google. But yeah, here's Meta. Meta at 161.30s. What's your thoughts on Microsoft right now? I don't know. Microsoft had a miss on both fronts. You know, they reacted negatively to this, but I like Microsoft long term as a company. I think the software game for them is basically a lock outside of like Apple, and so I like Microsoft long term. But short term, considering we got the FOMC meeting and we got a lot of big data releases this week and a lot of big tech earnings as well. Short term, there's some volatility, I think, but long term is going to be fine. Yeah, so ad revenue still grew. It came in lower than expected, Mozart. Yeah, for sure. Again, we got the earnings call dropping in about 25 minutes. Yeah, software as a service and cloud is long-term growth. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're in the forefront of that stuff too, so they'll be fine. Again, remember, tomorrow's the big FOMC meeting also. Hey, thank you, SPAC. Yeah, man, y'all hit that subscribe button, guys. We are live every weekday morning for free. We don't sell anything or charge for anything, and everything is free. Everything that we put out there is free. And so if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We certainly appreciate the love and support that we get here every day. And yeah, continue to help support the channel, guys. Hit that sub button, help us grow. We got the earnings call dropping in, again, 25 minutes. Thank you, Peter. We appreciate you. Should be a fun day too, man. We'll get some interesting stuff going on. If you're into crypto, you should be into Meta with a huge balance sheet. Yeah, what's crypto? I can't imagine that Bitcoin is reacting positively to this, right? I can't imagine that they're going to be reacting positively to this. I mean, Bitcoin's kind of neutral today, man. I mean, it had an initial reaction this morning, it looks like, but Bitcoin is kind of sideways right now. It's not really doing much. Again, I think Bitcoin's even waiting for this Fed meeting tomorrow to see what's going to happen. So like here's Bitcoin. You can see Bitcoin is at about 20.9K, roughly 20.9K. And again, I mean, I think a lot of people's stock securities are just apprehensive. Google just went green on the day. So Google is out now over the previous closing price at 108.25. So it's actually green on the day now, which is interesting. All right, guys. So Google up to 108.40s. So Google technically green on the day. Microsoft is still down pretty red on the day. Yeah. All right, so Google just reversed. It's now back under the previous closing price. We're now down to 108s. Yeah, so tomorrow's the big. What's the best case scenario tomorrow? I don't know. It's such a fragile thing here. We can drop lower than expected rate decision, and while that is good short term, it might make a lot of people nervous uh, about combating inflation. Um, and so I think a lot of the time with these FOMC meetings, on par with expectation is usually an okay thing. But it's such a fragile environment. So my son's good, man. He's still kind of spiking a fever off and on. We thought we got rid of it, and then he did really well all day the day before yesterday, and then yesterday he spiked another fever. It's low grade fever of like 100, but he's still homesick, unfortunately. But I appreciate the thought, brother. I appreciate it. All right, guys, so Google back up to 108.50s here. Microsoft consolidating towards green, but there goes Google here. Google ramping up at 108.70s. And again, we're going to cover the earnings call in about 20 minutes. I hope it's just a cold. You trade full time? I mean, I don't live solely off of my trading profits, if that's what you're asking me, George. Again, I'm not claiming to be an expert or a guru here or selling a course or any of that stuff. I'm just giving everything away for free without claiming to be an expert, and just kind of having a community here for traders where we don't have that pressure of needing to mislead people for course purchases. All right, guys. So yeah, Google back over the previous closing price. Yeah, ad revenue was the fear factor for investors. Yeah, I mean, Google posted ad revenue of, what was it? So yeah, their sales growth is expecting to slow as pressure mounts on ad market. I'm going to go ahead and read this article. And again, I'm quoting here. This article is from the Wall Street Journal, and it says, quote, Google Alphabet posted 69.69 billion of second quarter revenue on Tuesday, which is up about 13% from the same period last year. But still, that is the slowest rate of growth since the second quarter of 2020, which is when the pandemic, hurt everything for advertising in some areas, including travel. And so that's kind of what's going on for Google in terms of like ad revenue. Microsoft's starting to pop back up. It's at 251. Again, that was all quoting from the Wall Street Journal. Hey, my man Sam, or SM fan, Visa, how high tomorrow? They missed on transactional volume. Yeah, Visa had an earnings beat. So Microsoft started to push up, getting ready to test the VWAP here. Again, we got about 19 minutes before the actual earnings call for Google that we're going to cover live. Visa actually red on the day technically after an earnings beat. Again, Visa posted third quarter EPS of 198, beat 174 estimate. So a decent EPS beat there. Sales of 7.28 billion, beat the 7.06 billion estimate. So travel spending hits a milestone in its recovery. So that's good for Visa. Again, I don't know what it's going to be at tomorrow, SM. Nobody does. No, I trade a $30,000 account with $120,000 in buying power, George. And so, yeah, I have no PDT where I can day trade as much as I want. I do live. So if you watch my morning live streams, hit the subscribe button because we throw around that buying power every day at the opening bell. So you'll be able to kind of see me trade. But yeah, we trade 30,000, 120K buying power account on TOS on Thinkorswim every weekday morning at the open. But yeah, so going back to SM, man, I appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you, man. They missed on transactional volume. Third quarter process transaction is up 16%, though. Looks like they beat revenue on higher expectations of transactional volume. So it looks like it was a beat there as well. But we'll see. Visa, there's just a lot to review. And again, Visa is a company, to be honest, that I'm less versed in, if I'm being completely honest. But I appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you. Yeah, Chipotle, man. Honestly, Chipotle is so good too. I might get Chipotle today, bro. But Chipotle is good. But yeah, Google just went red on the day technically. Visa's still down. Microsoft kind of started to fight back a little bit too. Hey, thank you, George. We appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, like I said, dude, in my opinion, there's too many people selling courses on publicly available content for thousands of dollars in the trading space. It's just it misleads new traders. It makes new traders they have to mislead people in order to sell courses. You know what I mean? And I'm not against courses. Like, listen, you offer a reasonably priced course under $1,000, and you actually know what you're talking about. Fine, do you sell courses? You know what I mean? But a lot of people are just misleading people. You know, unfortunately. Yeah, Visa beat. Yeah, for Red Eagle, Visa beat pretty well. They beat expectations on both profitability, so EPS and sales. Yeah, let me look up Visa numbers here real quick. I'm using Benzinga to look up a lot of this. And again, we got about 16 minutes. You want to check out Benzinga? You can actually try Benzinga out completely free for 2 weeks without even needing a credit card number. And so if you want to try Benzinga out, let me find the link for it. A good way to help support the channel. It is an affiliate link, but again, you get a 2-week free trial without even needing to put in a credit card number for Benzinga. So pretty useful as well. Here's the link. Check it out. A lot of the times they do. It varies, A/B, but a lot of the times they do. Checking out Visa. Hold on one second for guidance. Yeah, I got to look at their actual earnings report to see about guidance. It says they're going to drop their earnings call, so maybe they'll say a little bit more about guidance after that. But I don't actually see anything. All right, so look at Microsoft start to creep back up here. And I can't help but think that it's impacting the markets. So there goes Microsoft trying to get over VWAP here. Google's still consolidating right around break even. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was saying, Richard. So if we look at this here, so SB, I don't see anything for guidance, brother. So I appreciate that. Or SM, sorry. SM, I don't see anything for guidance, bro. I'm looking, though. But in terms of like whether we're oversold or not, that's the only logical conclusion I think here. If we look at like a 10-day chart for Google, you can see we've been dropping pretty consistently over the last 10 days. And so I think I think considering that Google and Microsoft missed on both fronts, but mostly both had a positive reaction to earnings, especially Microsoft now. I can't help but think that we might have just been a little bit oversold and extended on the downside, especially with the broader market dropping. I think one of the things that made us a little bit extended and baked into this is the Walmart cutting guidance. Yesterday, they announced that they're cutting guidance for Walmart. And I think that broadly affected everything in large caps. And I think that probably caused it to be a little bit extended on the downside to where now that we have these earnings releases for Google and Microsoft, we're having initially a positive reaction to it. And so, you know, that's, again, it's just all speculation here, but that makes sense, I think. And let me know if you think it does. It's because they beat on ad revenue. Yeah. Yeah. Google posted ad revenue of, what did they show? 56.29 billion. Meta, yeah, I think Meta might be oversold. I think Meta just got absolutely destroyed when they came out saying they lost 10 billion in the metaverse last year, and so I think that caused a huge drop in Meta, which is a little extended on the downside. And while I don't like Facebook long term, I think Meta is vulnerable to trend changes in social media long term. I think short term they're pretty oversold in my opinion. At least that's my opinion on it. I could just be wildly wrong though, and Meta might just crash down for all I know. But that's my guess, is that Meta and a lot of the tech sector is oversold, as I'm seeing some other people mention that as well. I kind of agree. Yeah, Microsoft is not technically green. It's green in extended hours. The previous closing price for Microsoft, though, is way up here at this 258.80 level, which kind of shows how bad Microsoft did today. Microsoft dumped at the opening bell. I don't know if you guys traded the open today, but Microsoft just crashed here. Huge drop. And so with that said, Microsoft is still pretty red on the day, even with it being technically green in after hours today. They just dropped so much earlier at the open this morning that, they're not even close to being green on the day, as opposed to Google, which technically is green on the day now. Previous closing price for Google was at 108.21. The previous closing price for Microsoft is at 258.89. I use Thinkorswim. Like I said, I trade a $30,000 TOS account. Hey, thank you, Pawn. John is about as real as it comes out here with trading. It won't hype anything besides being risk adverse and continuing trading daily by not buying hype. Yeah, man, you know how it goes, Pawn. Everybody's just so there's so much sensationalism in trading, And I get it, man. In order to sell stuff, you got to sensationalize it. And I understand, but I'd rather just be, I don't want that pressure, bro. I don't want to sell a course, and if I lose 1 week, everybody's coming at me mad because I'm claiming to be some super great Ferrari driving trader. I'm not about that. I'd rather just tell people, hey, I don't know, and not have that pressure. In trading, pressure is a bad thing. Like having too much pressure on you to succeed in trading will make you lose money. It's counterproductive to what you want. And so if you actually want to be a good trader, you need to eliminate pressure, not add to it. And I think telling everybody that you're some millionaire trader, to sell courses just seems like a lot of pressure that I'm not really about. Yeah, thank you, Mateus. I appreciate it, man. All right, guys, we got about 11 minutes until the earnings call. Yeah, there's going to be an earnings call for Google, Lone Wolf of Wall Street. We're going to be streaming it here as well. So it starts in about 11 minutes. What's your dream car? Ooh, man, I kind of grew up in tuner age. So if I had a dream car, it's tough. I would say like an Acura NSX is probably one of my dream cars. There's a bunch of them, bro. Acura NSX, twin turbo 300Z, twin turbo Supra, Ford GT, there's a bunch of them. Hey, thank you, Buddha. I appreciate that. Do you have any good platform for Europe? Well, Europe, you have no PDT rule, but you also still have to follow the T2 rule, and you got commissions. And so, I can't really say for Europe. So earnings, A said, wait, isn't this the result? So yeah, so the way earnings work in the stock market is generally, at least, they have the earnings report, which is usually after the closing bell. So after 4 p.m. It's it varies on what time after 4 p.m., but it's usually within 15 to 30 minutes after the closing bell. Usually it's before that, but and then typically about an hour later, depending on where the company is located, they'll do the actual earnings call, which goes over the results, sometimes announces guidance on specific metrics, as well as has a Q&A. And so for Google, the earnings call starts in about 9 minutes at 5 p.m. Eastern. Tesla Model X, yeah, Tesla Plaid. Hey, I'd take one of those too. All right, guys. So Microsoft up to 252.70s, 252.80s. Google at 108.20s. So we got some movement there also. But yeah, I mean, I saw somebody say I agree with everything except for the Walmart thing. I didn't really state any type of bias regarding Walmart long term. I just think the market's reacting to Walmart. I think Walmart dropped their cut guidance announcement yesterday and after hours. And if you look at Walmart and everything kind of negatively reacted to it. It was kind of like Snapchat's earnings last week, where it's like Walmart announced this and look at Walmart tank, and Walmart just dove down. And this broadly affected everything, including the broader market. If you look at the SPY itself, the SPY went pretty red leading up to this. So like here's the S&P basically, and you can see just a huge reaction to the Walmart cut guidance. And so that broadly affected everything, including Google and Amazon and Microsoft. And so I think that caused a little bit more of a baked in kind of priced in nature of this earnings release for Google. And I know a few other people said that they beat in terms of advertising revenue for Microsoft or for Google as well, and so that probably influences it also. 8 minutes, guys. 8 minutes. We day trade, swing trade, and invest. We buy options too. We trade futures. Honda Civic. Nah, man. I used to have a H22 Honda Prelude. It was like a 97. It was a 5-speed as well. One of my favorite cars. But if I had a dream car, nah. Yeah, Chipotle, what up, big? Had beats on both fronts. I've been trading about 5 years, I would say. Yeah, the Preludes were fun, man. All right, guys, 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Microsoft starting to go green on the day. Google at 108.30s. Yeah, honestly, the new NSXs are dope for Acura too. I have to get one of those one day. Not as cool as the old ones though. The old ones were just really cool. All right, guys. So we got 6 minutes, guys. 6 minutes. Again, bullish or bearish on this earnings call? Supra? Nah. Yeah, Subaru Impreza WRX is not really my dream car because I could afford one now if I wanted one. They're really nice. Listen, I wanted a Subaru WRX just because they ran a 12-second flat quarter-mile stock until Tesla came out with the Model S Plaid that runs like a 9-second flat stock quarter-mile. And so if I had to choose one, I'd get the Tesla all day just because, people don't understand how fast the Tesla Plaid is. 9 seconds flat stock quarter-mile is obscenely fast. And yeah, if I had the option, I like the WRX, but I'm going with the Tesla if I had to pick one. Anyways, Microsoft over VWAP now. I think an important short-term level could be 250s. So we'll see if that holds. 250 area. Right around VWAP now. Has a double bottom there short-term over the last 10 minutes. And so let's see if Microsoft holds there. Google actually holding over the previous closing price as well. Kind of has a little double bottom there also. And so we'll see if they hold these gains here. We got the earnings call coming up in about 5 minutes. Yeah. Microsoft at 250s. Y'all feeling this jazz or you want me to switch it up? Let me know. It's kind of calming music. I kind of like it. Yeah, there's no 5 speeds anymore, man. It's all automatic, and understandably so. I mean, automatic has gotten so much more efficient than having to shift now. Like, automatic transmissions do better shifting than 5 speeds at this point in time. Now, sure, you can't control the momentum as much with automatics, but it's just gotten so efficient that they don't need 5 speeds anymore. Still fun to control yourself, but, unnecessary at this point in time. I think automatics are faster than 5 speeds now anyway. They shift better. Yeah, 3000 GTs were fun. All right, guys, 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Let me get everything ready for this Google earnings call. And again, we're going to cover it live here on the stream. All right, guys. So Google pop it up, guys, at 109.30s here, 109.30s. And again, we got about 4 minutes before the earnings call starts for Google. It is going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern time, so in 4 minutes. Yeah, I get it, Mateus. Listen, bro, I learned to drive on a 5-speed, man. It's just, at this point, they just lack efficiency now. All right, guys, so over 109s now for Google, over 109s. We got Microsoft at 250s. Yeah, I'd buy a Cybertruck. People hate on the Cybertruck, but I think it looks fun, man. I'd drive it. It's super different though, so I understand the hate. But Google at 109s. Microsoft's still ramping up here. How's the SPY reacting to all this? I can't imagine that it's down on this, right? It's got to be positive reaction. Yeah, so SPY reacting well to this also. All right, team. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. I don't really want to say what I drive, Peter, because, I drive a few different cars and vehicles, but I don't really want to flex on you guys, so I'm not going to say. SPY down though. SPY just dipped. It looks like this is actually just a down wick order filling. What numbers are next out? Tomorrow we got some big numbers in the morning. Boeing, a few other ones. All right, guys. Earnings call starting in about a minute. In about a minute and a half. Yeah. 06 Dodge Charger is not a flex. Are y'all really gonna make me tell you guys? I'd rather not say what I drive. I don't need to. I don't drive a car. It's an SUV. All right, guys. Google up to 109. So let's see if it holds. Yeah, those are just kind of rogue orders getting filled. Like in after hours, orders start to get filled. And so these are just orders coming down, getting filled, and going back up. That's all it is. It's not about flexing, to be honest. It's more so about just privacy. Running a YouTube channel, I just don't want weirdos, following me around. Close, Red Eagle. Close. All right, guys. Earnings call is about to start right now. All right, guys. Y'all ready? Earnings call should be starting pretty soon. Let me find it, man. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, guys. Nothing yet. Still waiting for the earnings call to start. It hasn't actually started yet. And so we're going to cut the music and wait now. Earnings call should be starting anytime. All right, guys, pretty soon. Let me check.
Today's conference is being
sound
recorded.
Good? Let me know if sounds good. Sound good?
You may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the conference over to your host, Ms. Jennifer Como, Senior Vice President and Global Head of Investor Relations. Ms. Como, you may begin.
Sound good? Can you guys hear?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Visa's fiscal third quarter 2022 earnings call.
Hey, guys, we are going to put it in sub-only mode.
Are Al Kelly, Visa's Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, and Vasant Prabhu, Visa's Vice Chair and Chief Financial Officer. This call is being webcast on the Investor Relations section of our website at www.investor.visa.com. A replay will be archived on our site for 30 days. A slide deck containing financial and statistical highlights has been posted on our IR website. Let me also remind you that this presentation includes forward-looking statements. These statements are not guarantees of future performance, and our actual results could differ materially as the result of many factors. Additional information concerning those factors is available in our most recent reports on Forms 10-K and 10-Q, which you can find on the SEC's website and the Investor Relations section of our website. For non-GAAP financial information disclosed in this call, the related GAAP measures and reconciliation are available in today's earnings release. And with that, let me turn the call over to Al.
Jennifer, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Before I talk about the quarter, I wanted to acknowledge the passing of Dee Hock, Visa's founder and Chief Executive Officer Emeritus. The whole Visa family deeply mourns the loss of a true visionary and a great man. Even with several global and macro events, from the war in Ukraine to inflation to concerns over a broader recession, Visa's business model has proven to be very resilient with strong financial performance. Net revenues grew 19% year over year, and non-GAAP EPS was $1.98, up 33%. Total Q3 payments volume was 136% versus 3 years ago, up 1 point from Q2. In the U.S., payments volume index to 2019 was 146% in the quarter. U.S. debit volumes were 155% and credit 138% of 2019, both up modestly from Q2. Card not present, excluding travel volumes in the U.S., remained significantly ahead of pre-pandemic levels at 170% of 2019, consistent with Q2. International volume was 120% of 2019, down a point from Q2. Excluding China and Russia, it was 146% of 2019, up 6 points. Q3 cross-border volumes, excluding intra-Europe, were 123% versus 3 years ago, up 11 points from Q2, and this includes Russia in prior period numbers. Travel-related cross-border volumes rose 22 points from 82% of 2019 in Q2 to 104% in Q3, as we continue to see strong recovery in consumer and commercial travel. Processed transactions were 139% versus 2019, 1 point above Q2. Credentials increased 8% year over year and are up 11% excluding Russia. Before I dive into the client wins and progress towards our strategy, I wanted to take a moment to discuss two topics, recession and inflation.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry,
On the
guys.
first, we're not economic forecasters,
Wow,
so I'm
I'm
not
an
going
idiot,
to predict
man.
the
I'm
future
sorry.
or potential likelihood of a recession. Instead, let's focus on the
I'm
facts.
sorry, guys. I actually got
From
the
the numbers
wrong
I just
earnings call
reviewed,
here. Sheesh.
relative to 2019 levels, growth has been stable or improving
My
in
bad.
overall domestic payment volume, credit, debit, card present, and card not present volumes. And this has been the case
AI is
for
also
most
helping
of
improve
2022
translation.
with no
With the new monolingual approach to
Sheesh, man.
translation,
I was
we've
streaming the
added
wrong
24
earnings call.
new
My bad,
languages
guys.
to Google
This is the
Translate,
correct earnings call. My
spoken by
apologies.
300 million people.
That was Visa.
And a new immersive view in Maps uses computer vision, AI, and billions of images to create high-fidelity representations of places around the world. Beyond AI, we are also seeing a new frontier with augmented reality. We've been testing exciting prototypes in our labs, like the device we shared at I/O that puts real-time translation and transcription in your line of sight. It's one example of how AR can solve real needs in the real world. And last week, we announced that we will soon begin early testing of AR prototypes in real-world scenarios. Our goal is to learn how they can help people in their everyday lives. Our investments in commerce are another way we deliver helpful experiences. People are shopping across Google more than 1 billion times each day. We see hundreds of millions of shopping searches on Google Images each month. Merchants will soon be able to submit 3D images of their products to appear directly on Google Search, so customers can try before they buy. We're also focused on bringing together hardware, software, and AI in a range of helpful devices. At I/O, we announced great new products, including Pixel 6a, Pixel Buds Pro, and Pixel Watch. We are currently taking pre-orders for Pixel 6a and Pixel Buds Pro. It's been great to see the positive feedback so far. And on platforms, I'm proud that Android remains the world's most popular operating system with more than 3 billion monthly active devices worldwide. Last year alone, consumers activated 1 billion Android phones. We are making it easier for Android users to share photos and communicate with friends and family with a modern messaging standard called Rich Communication Services, or RCS. Across our platforms and beyond, we keep more people safe online than anyone else in the world. Safe browsing on Chrome browsers help protect billions of people every day by warning them when they try to access dangerous sites or files. Earlier this year, we rolled out a new machine learning model that identifies more than twice as many potentially malicious sites and phishing attacks as the previous model, helping to contribute to a safer and more secure web. We've also unified our password managers across Chrome and Android. Now stored passwords can be grouped and protected across devices, apps, and the web. Taking a closer look at YouTube. YouTube Shorts are watched by over 1.5 billion signed-in users every month, with more than 30 billion daily views. In Q2, YouTube TV surpassed 5 million subscribers, including trialers. There's also a lot of potential for shopping on YouTube. Just last week, we announced a partnership with Shopify. It'll help creators easily connect their stores to YouTube and enable shopping across their live streams and videos. There's more to come here. Moving on to cloud, which surpassed the $6 billion quarterly revenue mark for the first time. Q2 revenue grew to $6.3 billion with momentum across Google Cloud Platform and Workspace. We saw continued demand in all geographies with global brands like Target in North America, H&M Group in Europe, Banco BV in Latin America, and Biopharma in Asia. We launched Google Public Sector in June, expanding our commitment to help U.S. government agencies and public institutions accelerate their digital transformations, from New York State and Arizona State University to the U.S. Forest Service and the state of Rhode Island. Customers are choosing Google Cloud as their technology partner because of our leadership in 4 areas. First, we continue to lead in the data cloud market because we unify data lakes, data warehouses, data governance, and advanced machine learning into a single platform that can analyze data across any cloud. Companies like SC Johnson, Northwell Health, and the Golden State Warriors choose Google Cloud for our strength in data analytics. Our capabilities helped Swissair optimize its flight operations. They're also helping NG explore ways to optimize wind energy management and Ford to create smarter factory floors. Second, companies like BetaBank and Mayo Clinic choose our open cloud infrastructure to modernize their IT systems on our cloud, at the edge, or in their data centers. Our infrastructure scales to help customers like Deutsche Telekom modernize its network, Wipro to modernize its core systems, and Garvan Institute of Medical Research to process 14,000 genomes in under 2 weeks. Our multi-cloud strategy remains a differentiator for customers like Elevance Health, formerly known as Anthem, and AMD. Third, cybersecurity. Google has always provided a secure cloud infrastructure, and we continue to introduce new cybersecurity products that help customers detect, protect, and respond to a broad range of cybersecurity threats. Customers like GitLab, Highmark Health, and Iron Mountain protect their critical systems and data with our products. Caribou Coffee and Etsy are among the 5 million websites protected by our cybersecurity technology. Finally, Google Workspace's easy-to-use and secure communication and collaboration tools continue to be chosen by many organizations as they return to hybrid work. Google Workspace helped St. Luke's Medical Center, a leading healthcare system in the Philippines, address a 38% increase in telehealth visits during the pandemic. Results like this are driving growth in many customer segments around the world, including digital natives like Canva, large enterprises like Travis Perkins PLC, and public sector institutions, including the central Dutch government. Finally, our other bets. Waymo expanded rider-only testing with employees to include downtown Phoenix and started testing at Phoenix's Sky Harbor Airport. It also began charging trusted tester riders in San Francisco, a step closer to launching a commercial service with fully autonomous trips. Waymo also opened a new facility to support Waymo Via, their autonomous Class 8 trucking solution, as they continue to increase their operations and investment across the Southwest region. Calico is testing an investigational drug treatment in patients with ALS, developed in collaboration with AbbVie. It's an early step of many in the development process. Wing recently surpassed 250,000 commercial deliveries and unveiled a series of delivery drone prototypes able to carry different sized packages. There is good progress here and will continue to be intentional across the portfolio. To close, while the economic outlook is uncertain, it's been great to see people gathering in person again. We are pleased to see people coming back into the office more often, resulting in more opportunities for collaboration. It's a privilege to build technology that's helpful in both good times and uncertain ones. And I want to thank everyone at Alphabet and Google for their work in support of people, businesses, and all of our partners everywhere. Over to you, Philip.
Thanks, Sundar, and hi, everyone. It's always great to be with you all. As Sundar indicated, we're as focused as ever on helping businesses navigate complexity and operate from a position of confidence. AI-powered tools, insights, and automation are arming customers and partners with the ability to stay agile and responsive so they can capture short-term opportunities while also building for the long term. You've seen our own commitment to the long term in our latest innovation announcements at I/O, Google Marketing Live, and Brandcast. Sundar covered a number of these. I'll dive deeper into a few more, including how we're improving our advertiser experiences and building simpler, more useful products for our partners. Within Google Services, Search delivered strong revenue growth in the second quarter, driven by performance in both travel and retail. In travel, users' appetite continued to remain strong heading into the summer season. Searches for places to visit in summer were up 2x globally year-over-year, while searches for last-minute hotel deals were up 50%. However, as we've all seen in the news recently, the travel sector has been experiencing some challenges. As always, we're committed to helping our travel partners navigate this with insights and new tools. Then there's retail, where we had another solid quarter. At GML, we highlighted how we're continuing to innovate to help merchants make the most of how quickly consumer shopping is evolving. Like Best Buy, was embracing a full omni-channel approach, from measurement to bidding to using omni ad formats across Google. By adopting omni across its local inventory ads portfolio and showcasing curbside and in-store pickup, Best Buy increased in-store revenue from Google Ads by 34% last year. Today's customers expect to shop wherever, whenever, and they care as much about local as they do about finding inspiration for their next purchase online. In Q2, searches for Open Now Near Me were up 8x globally year-over-year, while searches for Designer Outlet jumped 90%. We also saw strong interest in apparel categories like women's clothing and in beauty categories like perfume and fragrances. With AI-powered tools like Performance Max, which local and smart shopping campaigns will upgrade to in time for the holidays, we're helping businesses move at speed and scale to reach new and existing customers wherever they are in their shopping journey with relevant, useful content. We've seen strong momentum with PMax. Advertiser adoption is up 5 times year to date. Sustainable apparel brand Rothy's drove a 59% increase in conversions and a 60% increase in revenue after turning to PMax. By leveraging its creative assets and showing them at scale, Rothy's reached more customers in a way it hadn't been able to do before. Innovating across search and YouTube also remained top priorities. Sundar mentioned new 3D AR features. Target and Wayfair are testing these to help customers see and shop products in real life. We launched new ad formats for our more visual, browsy search experiences. And then there's cool live commerce capabilities like Live Directs, which let creators start a shopping live stream on their channel and then redirect viewers to a brand's channel for more. Let's dive deeper into YouTube. In the second quarter, the biggest factor in the year-over-year comparison was the lapping of a very strong second quarter in 2021, when we experienced a strong recovery from the impact of COVID in early 2020. Ruth will provide more details on this later on. As we continue to help advertisers manage through uncertainty, I would point out 3 key highlights for YouTube. First, Brandcast joined the upfronts in New York in May for the first time ever, a reflection of how digital and linear TV worlds are converging for both viewers and advertisers. As the #1 streaming video platform to reach viewers across all devices, with billions of hours of video watched every day, YouTube remains well-positioned to deliver the reach, results, and relevance that advertisers need. In fact, even in TV's biggest moments, YouTube is still delivering huge incremental reach. According to ComScore, 49.9% of adults that saw a Super Bowl ad on YouTube on the day of the Super Bowl did not see the ad on TV. And as more advertisers tap into connected TV, they're also driving results. According to a Google commissioned Nielsen meta-analysis of MMMs that measured YouTube CTV and TV across US consumer packaged goods, on average, YouTube CTV effectiveness was 3.1 times greater than TV. Take GSK Consumer Healthcare, now Haleon, who piloted CTV campaigns across its top 10 global markets to drive effectiveness at scale and tap into the shift to streaming. The results? 73% of campaigns drove substantial lift in brand and unbranded searches, and viewers were up to 14 times more likely to search for Haleon-related terms. Adding CTV to its existing plans also led to greater efficiencies and savings. Haleon has since upped its 2022-2023 investment and is now expanding CTV across LATAM and EMEA markets. Second, As Sundar said, our momentum in shorts continues. Last quarter, we shared that we're in the early stages of testing monetization with ads, and we continue to be encouraged by the results so far. Third, there's full funnel, which we've covered before, and more advertisers are embracing. On average, YouTube advertisers using a full funnel strategy experienced 80% unique reach across brand and action campaigns. With this incremental reach across upper and lower funnel formats, advertisers meet different audiences based on where they are in the purchase journey. Estee Lauder, Taiwan's recent campaign for its advanced night repair serum, is a great example. Branded content collaboration with top creators raised awareness, while YouTube's shopping shelf feature boosted consideration. And to generate new leads and sales, a series of well-orchestrated action formats did the trick. This full funnel strategy drove 29% more unique visits to its website and a 95% increase in sales. With our performance products, advertisers can convert demand. With our massive reach products, they create net new demand at scale. Lastly, an update on how we're bringing the best across Google to our partners and key ecosystems. First, in gaming, to help Bandai Namco Entertainment drive immersive gaming experiences and build a more robust IP strategy, we're partnering across cloud, geo, ads, YouTube, and more. And then there's news. Google News Showcase now has 1,500 plus partnerships with publications across 17 countries, including recent agreements with publications in the UK, Romania, and Slovakia. I'll close as I always do, with gratitude for customers and partners, and for Googlers across sales, partnerships, product engineering, and our many, many support teams. Thank you for your tireless commitment to making a positive impact around the world. Ruth, over to you.
Thank you, Philip. Our financial results for the second quarter reflect strength in search and momentum in cloud. My comments will be on year-over-year comparisons for the second quarter unless I state otherwise. I will start with results at the Alphabet level, followed by segment results, and conclude with our outlook. For the second quarter, our consolidated revenues were $69.7 billion, up 13% or up 16% in constant currency. Our total cost of revenues was $30.1 billion, up 15%, primarily driven by other cost of revenues, which was $17.9 billion, up 17%. The biggest factor here was costs associated with data centers and other operations. Operating expenses were $20.1 billion, up 24%, reflecting the following. First, the increase in R&D expenses, which was driven primarily by headcount growth. Second, the growth in sales and marketing expenses, which was driven primarily by increased spending on ads and promo, followed by headcount growth. And finally, the growth in G&A, which reflects increases in both professional service fees and in headcount, partially offset by a decline in charges related to legal matters. Operating income was $19.5 billion, flat versus last year, and our operating margin was 28%. Other income and expense was a loss of $439 million. Net income was $16 billion. We delivered free cash flow of $12.6 billion in the quarter and $65 billion for the trailing 12 months. We ended the quarter with $125 billion in cash and marketable securities. Let me now turn to our segment financial results, starting with our Google Services segment. Total Google Services revenues were $62.8 billion, up 10%. Google Search and other advertising revenues of $40.7 billion in the quarter were up 14%, driven by both travel and retail. YouTube advertising revenues of $7.3 billion were up 5%. The modest year-on-year growth rate primarily reflects lapping the uniquely strong performance in the second quarter of 2021. Network advertising revenues of $8.3 billion were up 9%, driven by AdSense. The quarter-on-quarter deceleration in both YouTube and network advertising revenues primarily reflects pullbacks in spend by some advertisers. Other revenues were $6.6 billion, down 1%, reflecting a year-on-year decline in Play, primarily driven by the fee changes we have discussed previously. We also saw a slowdown in buyer spend due to a number of factors, including lower engagement levels compared with earlier stages of the pandemic. In terms of costs within Google Services, TAC was $12.2 billion, up 12%. Google Services operating income was $22.8 billion, up 2%, and the operating margin was 36%. Turning to the Google Cloud segment, revenues were $6.3 billion for the second quarter, up 36%. GCP's revenue growth was again greater than Cloud's, reflecting significant growth in both infrastructure and platform services. Strong revenue growth in Google Workspace was driven by solid growth in both seats and average revenue per seat. Google Cloud had an operating loss of $858 million. As to our other bets for the second quarter, revenues were $193 million and the operating loss was $1.7 billion. Let me close with some comments on our outlook. In terms of the Google Services segment, we are pleased with our performance in search in the second quarter, which continued to deliver strong results. As a reminder, the 2022 revenue growth rates are presented against particularly tough comps as we lapped the recovery in the second quarter of 2021 from the impact of the pandemic in early 2020. Going forward, the very strong revenue performance last year continues to create tough comps that will weigh on year-on-year growth rates of advertising revenues for the remainder of the year. In YouTube and network, the pullbacks in spend by some advertisers in the second quarter reflects uncertainty about a number of factors that are challenging to disaggregate. Within other revenues in the third quarter, we expect an ongoing headwind from the fee changes and the slowdown in buyer spend that impacted results in the second quarter. Turning to Google Cloud, customers are transforming their businesses utilizing GCP's secure infrastructure with data, analytics, and AI capabilities, uncovering real-time insights and leveraging the collaborative tools of Workspace. They are in the early days of this transformation, and we continue to invest in our products, go-to-market capabilities, and cloud regions. In terms of foreign exchange, our second quarter results reflect that the US dollar strengthened versus last year from a significant tailwind last year to a 3.7 percentage point headwind in 2Q. Looking to the third quarter, based on strengthening of the US dollar quarter to date, we expect an even larger headwind from foreign exchange. As a reminder, all segment revenues are reported on a GAAP basis. We provide fixed FX revenues only at the consolidated level and by geographic region. In addition, as we've said previously, the impact of foreign exchange is greater on operating income than it is on revenues, given that our expense base is weighted more toward the US, with most of our R&D efforts located here. With respect to Alphabet headcount, we added 10,108 people in the second quarter, with the majority of hires for technical roles. Given the uncertain global economic outlook and the hiring progress achieved to date, as Sundar previously announced, we intend to slow the pace of hiring. We expect our actions on hiring to become more apparent in 2023. Our headcount additions in the third quarter will reflect we already have a strong number of commitments, including new graduate hires. As a reminder, we also expect the acquisition of Mandiant to close by the end of the year, which will further increase headcount on top of hiring. Although we expect the pace of headcount growth to moderate next year, we will continue hiring for critical roles, particularly focused on top engineering and technical talent. Turning to CapEx, the largest investments in the second quarter were in servers, followed by data centers and office facilities. After several large transactions closed in the first quarter, investment in office facilities was once again focused on fit-outs and ground-up construction on existing projects. We continue to expect an increase in CapEx in 2022 versus last year. For the balance of 2022, the increase will be particularly reflected in investments in technical infrastructure globally, with servers as the largest component. Thank you. Sundar, Philip, and I will now take your questions.
Thank you. As a reminder, to ask a question, you will need to press star 11 on your telephone. To prevent any background noise, we ask that you please mute your line once your question has been stated. And our first question comes from the line of Douglas Anmuth from JP Morgan. One moment. I apologize. One moment while we open the line. Please stand by. And Doug, your line is now open.
Great, thank you. Hopefully you can hear me. I want to ask two questions. First, Sundar, just in your letter, you talked about how the economic challenges will serve as an opportunity for Alphabet to deepen its focus and invest for the long term. Just wanted to get a sense of how that might change the investment profile and areas of priority for the company. And then, Ruth, I was hoping you could provide some color perhaps on how growth trended more through the second quarter, and if you have any comments on what you're seeing so far in 3Q in July. Thanks.
Thanks, Doug. As I said to the company, I think it's a good time to sharpen our focus. Personally, I find moments like these clarifying. It's a chance to digest and make sure we are working on the right things as a company with taking a long-term view, making sure we are continuing to invest in deep technology and computer science and doing differentiated work, and gives a chance to assess everything we are doing with a critical lens and reallocate resources to our most critical priorities. So, it's a constrained optimization problem. I think gives us a chance, given the strong, given a few years of strong growth, to double down and focus. And we're going to be very disciplined in terms of how we will approach it. But our focus on the long-term areas, be it AI, be it cloud, and other critical areas, will continue.
In terms of your second question, I'm going to leave the modeling to you. Just a bit of context. Sundar and I think Philip as well, use the term uncertainty because we do think that's the best way to characterize what we're seeing. The data are complicated. Our results have reflected lapping, continue to reflect lapping of the significant growth rates last year. On top of that, there's uncertainty in the global economic environment. And then there are issues that differ across industry. You've seen it in the news. For some, it's supply chain. For some, it's inventory issues. So we will leave the forecasting to you and try to give you sort of the components as we went through Q2 here.
Thank you both.
Thank you. And our next question comes from the line of Brian Nowak from Morgan Stanley.
Thanks for taking my question.
Brian?
Can you hear me okay? Yep. Can you hear me okay? Hello?
Yes, your line is open.
Great. Thanks for taking my question. Sundar, I just wanted to sort of follow up on the last question a little bit. I think the tone around investment for the year changed somewhat over the course of the last few weeks. As we've kind of gone through July and heard about slowing of hiring and now a reported hiring pause. You mentioned just recently you're finding moments like these to sort of optimize spend. Could you just talk to what are you seeing in your business specifically on the advertising side or the cloud side that is sort of saying now is when we really do need to make sure we're optimizing? Are you seeing pullbacks, or is it more sort of just you're seeing the macroeconomic headlines and wanting to get ahead of it?
Thanks, Brian. I think Ruth gave color on what we are talking about as uncertainty. I think we see that as well. All of us are reacting to quite a varying set of dynamics, and it's tough to summarize it because the underlying factors are different and they vary by maybe geography and verticals. But there is some commonality to it in terms of the macro environment. So there's definitely something we are looking at and want to be more disciplined as we go forward. So that's the higher level theme. I think in terms of underlying areas, pretty much I'm focusing my time on what are the right set of things to do with a longer term view. And I do think as a company, when you're in growth mode, it's tough to always take the time to do all the readjustments you need to do, and moments like this gives us a chance. So I view it as an opportunity, and so some of the sharpening our focus is taking advantage of the moment.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Eric Sheridan from Goldman Sachs.
So much for taking the question. Maybe I can ask a two-parter on YouTube. You've called out the tougher comps over the last couple of quarters. Can you give us a better sense of how you move away from some of those tougher comps in the periods ahead of us over the next 12 to 18 months, and how maybe we should think about the digestion of the direct response growth and consumption growth that YouTube saw a year ago, and how that might lead to better growth ahead for YouTube in the periods going forward? And then when you look at the broader competitive landscape for video, how do you think about positioning YouTube, short form video versus long form video, or enabling creators and businesses to have tools to build their businesses within YouTube? How do you think about product development and aligning the product against the broader competitive landscape? Thanks so much.
Thanks, Eric. There was a lot in your question, so I'll start and then I'll pass it to Philip. An obvious point was we're pointing out the lapping of what truly were extraordinary growth rates. Time will get us through the lapping, so that's obvious math. But you asked the question, so starting with that, and then I did note that we have seen pullbacks in spend by some advertisers. That in fact was the biggest factor in the quarter-on-quarter change, the sequential decline in the growth rate, and that we do view that as rather idiosyncratic. As I said, some of it's supply chain, some of it's inventory, and so just working through that. And then I would say there were a couple of other factors that were relevant. The war was a modest headwind to year on year and sequential growth. AT&T impact, in fact, remained relatively constant. We've said that for the last couple of quarters, so that does remain a headwind. So we're working through those, but again, it goes really to continuing to invest in YouTube and the experiences and the opportunity to deliver for our entire ecosystem, users, creators. And why don't I pass it to Philip to maybe take you a step deeper into those?
Yes, thank you. So despite the pullback from some advertisers, we really believe YouTube remains well positioned to benefit from the shift to digital video. Maybe first on brand, it's worth calling out that this was our first year participating in the upfronts, which is really exciting and really a testament to YouTube's evolution. And we were very pleased with our strong growth and upfront commitments. Customers tell us they see value in YouTube's reach and the ability to drive results. I talked about CTV earlier and as well on our last call, and we're very excited about the roadmap here. We're also continuing to give advertisers unique and creative storytelling opportunities and the ability to lean into very precise KPIs. And we recently rolled out some very critical measurement tools. On the direct response side, we still think there's a lot of runway to address commercial intent on YouTube between video action campaigns and app campaigns and product feeds and new live commerce features. We're testing a number of different things across live commerce. So we're excited about the opportunities here, especially to connect brands with creators. We're also seeing advertisers buy YouTube at both ends of the funnel, which I talked about earlier, giving advertisers the ability to drive reach and relevance, and action is really where YouTube excels. So the big picture long-term remain very encouraged by the opportunity for innovation in brand and DR and across YouTube. And I can also briefly touch on the shorts piece. Consumers are increasingly consuming short-form videos, obviously. We're seeing this across multiple platforms, including YouTube. Sundar noted earlier that shorts are being watched by 1.5 billion plus logged-in users every month. So overall, we're continuing to see good user engagement on YouTube. And last quarter, we shared that over the past 2 years, YouTube has seen significant growth in watch time. And even as people have returned to in-person activities, time spent on YouTube globally has continued to grow. And as I said before, early results in shorts monetization are also encouraging, and we're excited about the opportunities here.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Michael Nathanson from MoffettNathanson.
Can I ask one of Ruth and Sundar and then one of Philip? For Ruth and Sundar, given just how strong this company is in terms of balance sheet and profitability, I wonder what's your North Star when you think about sharpening your focus? What's driving your decision making? Is there an optimal margin you're looking to seek to, or cash generation? So I'm just trying to get, when you say these things, I know what other companies have to do because they're pressured in balance sheets or profitability. So what is the mathematical formula that you're looking for, that you're driving towards? And then for Philip, I think people are wondering and this is a big question, but the composition of the ad base, and I think people are worried that some other companies may have really benefited from a lot of growth in younger, newer companies that were not profitable. So you talk a bit about what you're seeing in terms of mix of your composition. Is there any shift maybe towards Fortune 500 companies that are spending more from a healthier, maybe starting base? Or anything you tell us on composition of your ad base? I know it's a huge question, but that'd be helpful. Thanks.
Maybe one thing I'll say, through moments like this, look, I think for a few years we've been talking about, particularly in our newer areas, the focus on building sustainable value, and so for me it's a long-term framework. We are obviously we have areas where we've been doing this for a long time, like search and so on. But there are newer areas, and we definitely want to make sure. While we are investing for the long term, we are thinking through the business model, the value creation, and profitability over time. And so, all of that are the frameworks we use. And I think it's important, regardless of the health of your balance sheet, on an area by area, everything you're building is sustainable on its own, and you're very disciplined. And so, I think times like this gives us a chance to bring more focus and spend more time on with that lens.
I would just add, we talked about this last year. Some of the operating margin upside last year was due to timing issues with the surge of revenues, and we indicated at the time there was a lag in part on some of the investments, whether that's data centers or otherwise. And so in part, you're seeing some of that, but very much to Sundar's point, the way we look at it is we are continuing to invest in long-term growth that has paid wonderful dividends for users and investors over the years. And we want to make sure we're doing it responsibly and judiciously. Some of these things pay out over the medium and longer term. And so, as he said a couple of times now, this notion of wanting to look at what are meaningful investments to deliver, continued extraordinary experiences for servers and users that then supports longer term growth, it requires investments, and we just want to make sure that we're getting that balance right and that we're using resources effectively where we can to redeploy it and put it back into long-term investments. And so it's that sort of balancing act.
Look, and when it comes to the second part of your question, we have a very, very broad base of customers, large, small, different verticals, different sectors in different geographies across the world. We're very proud to serve such a large base with such a diversity of different players. It's a broad question you're asking. If you're leaning a little bit more towards the total addressable market here, let me reiterate what I said before. We're not just addressing above-the-line marketing budgets like traditional advertising or television advertising. There's a lot of upside that we see in below-the-line budgets, whether it's promotional pricing, product placement, sponsorships, and so on. And it obviously cuts across the universe of different players, sectors, verticals that I just described. But in the end, our main goal is on delivering great experiences for our users and driving incremental ROI for our advertisers, and then making them successful across all this big universe of sectors I just talked about. And I'm positive that budgets should continue to move our ways as long as we stay focused on this one.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Justin Post from Bank of America Merrill Lynch.
Great. Thank you. I hope you can hear me okay. Wanted to ask about cloud. You mentioned several times cloud momentum, and I know it was a very tough year-over-year comp, but growth did slow. Wondering if you're seeing any pullback in new lift and shift projects or other new client ads, or if you're seeing a little slowdown in volumes at all. And then on the margins, is there any urgency to move margins towards break even, or is it still kind of investment mode here with a lot of different products and services to build? Thank you.
On cloud, we continue to see strong momentum, substantial market opportunity here, and still feels like early stages of this transformation. Constantly in conversations with customers, big and small, who are just undertaking the journey. So kind of shows you the opportunity ahead. I would just say, nothing noticeable other than, given we are in different geographies, and different sectors, you do see a varying mix of some customers impacted in terms of their ability to spend, some customers just slightly taking longer times, and maybe in some cases thinking about the term for which they're booking and so on. So, but I don't necessarily view it as a longer term trend as much as working through the macro uncertainty everyone is dealing with.
And then in terms of your margin question, our view continues to be that this is an extraordinary opportunity. It's a long-term opportunity, and enterprise customers are still early in their move to the cloud. And so we do very much have that debate. That same question that you posed is the right one, which is the trade-off as between revenue growth and immediate profitability. And what we're focused on is ensuring that we're investing to support the long-term growth and given the upside that we see. And so continue to focus on it and are looking at the path to profitability, path to free cash flow positive to drive attractive returns. That's obviously in the overall model of it, but very much believe in the long-term growth and believe this is the right level of investment across the business, go to market, the product teams, continuing to build it out globally.
Thanks, Sundarsh. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you. And our next question comes from the line of Brent Thill from Jefferies.
Good afternoon, Ruth. Good to see you lean into the buyback. I think it was your highest buyback ever, while other tech companies have kind of run away from it. I'm just curious if you could talk about your capital allocation strategy and ultimately how you're thinking about the buyback.
Thank you. I mean, at the heart of the capital allocation strategy is really what we've been talking about on this call, investing in long-term growth and driving cash flow so that we have the opportunity to continue to invest and return capital to shareholders. We're very pleased that we were able to increase the authorization up to $70 billion and do continue to believe it's yet another valuable tool in the overall set of investments that we make. So pleased to have it.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Mark Mahaney from Evercore ISI.
Great, thanks. Philip, you talk about the beginning of monetizing YouTube Shorts. Do you have any lessons that you've drawn so far, or in the long term, is there any view you have on whether that inventory can be better or less monetized than other YouTube inventory that you've had, traditionally, historically? And then secondly, just on these comments on the pullback by some advertisers. So you talk about strength in retail and especially in travel. So what's left? Does that mean that you're seeing weakness out of Western Europe in financial verticals and maybe automotive? Any color on which advertisers are pulling back would be helpful. Thank you.
So on the short side, on the monetization side, I am sticking with the statement I made before. We're encouraged by the results that we're seeing. We're excited about the opportunity. There's not a lot more detail that we can share at this point in time. On the pullback in spend by some of the advertisers, as Ruth mentioned, the pullbacks in spend on YouTube and network by some advertisers in the second quarter reflects uncertainty about a number of factors. And for each advertiser, they're actually challenging to disaggregate. The uncertainty differed between companies and sectors. And as you can see from the news, and some companies were impacted by multiple factors as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Colin Sebastian from Baird.
Thanks. Good afternoon. Maybe one follow-up, Sundar, on the sharpening of the focus. You talked about, of course, AI and cloud as being key areas of long-term focus. Are there any areas worth calling out that may be a lower priority now, given that focus? And then secondly, you've given us some good data, over the last year or so around conversational and visual search queries and strong growth there. Curious how that also translates into maybe different types of monetization relative to text-based search. Does this give you greater monetization capability in search, or how would that impact monetization? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Good question. And, look, one way we can think about it is, through moments like this. So, for example, we are obviously investing deeply in AI. We do everything from pure research to applied research to research, which is now, AI work, which is actually happening very close or within the areas like search and YouTube, etc. And so you can imagine a scenario in which we are prioritizing and, on the margin, moving resources to making sure we are driving product improvements which flow through a moment like that. That would be an example of sharpening focus for me. And when I think about the opportunities out of AI, just coming out of I/O this year, looking at the progress we have made, how much we have made progress with multi-search, how multimodal things are getting, and the fact that people are now actually doing voice searches a lot, visual searches a lot. All that is a good example of how we are driving value in our core products. Similarly, if you take at ads at Google Marketing Live, the team talked a lot about AI-driven products and features that really, give value to advertisers in the most privacy-forward way. And cloud is, I would say, a lot of the AI opportunity today plays out as more from a data analytics standpoint. It's within that segment we see the most strength, but over time, I think there'll be broader opportunities as well. And on top of it all, we are continuing to see a lot of breakthrough work coming from our research teams, be it Lambda 2, Palm, Minerva, or some of our recent advances. So we'll stay cutting edge, drive progress, and keep focusing on turning that research into real products and applications, and we'll take a long-term view.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our last question comes from the line of Ross Sandler from Barclays.
So maybe just following up on the retail segment. So some of the biggest retailers in the world, like Walmart, are really struggling and are looking to cut costs. And sounded to me from what Ruth just said about supply chain inventory inflation that they might be cutting on YouTube. So I'm just curious, can you flesh out what you guys are doing in search from a product perspective to keep that retail category as strong as it is? You mentioned PMax for some of the smaller advertisers and omni-channel for the larger, but maybe just elaborate on what strategies you guys are using to keep that spend flowing, or is that just a timing thing and it might drop off at some point in the future? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. This is an excellent question. As I noted in my opening remarks, retail continued to be an important driver of search in the second quarter. We saw strong search interest in several categories. I called out apparel categories like women's clothing earlier. I think it's also worth clarifying when we talk about retail growth, we're talking about our overall approach to retail, which runs through all of our ads, products, and services, and our shopping strategy is just one important piece of that. From a trend perspective, you're absolutely right. Omnichannel remains the way to win. Retailers continue to build their digital presence to drive both online and offline sales, and we're obviously helping them do it. Over the last few quarters, I think I've talked quite a bit about the ways how we're doing this. In Q2, like in Q1, we saw a year-over-year increase in adoption of, for example, local inventory ads. These are mobile first and location based, and helping business of all sizes showcase their products in stock. In store, online, or available for store or curbside pickup, all different variations. Additionally, we're midway through the migration from smart shopping campaigns into Performance Max, which you also mentioned, and advertisers have been pleased with the increased reach and the increased performance. And our focus really has always been on building tools and features that help both offline and online businesses connect directly with these customers across our platforms. And we're excited about what's next for retail commerce across our surfaces, especially search and YouTube. And we will remain focused on building helpful, great products and experiences for both users and these businesses.
Thank you. And that concludes our question and answer session. I'd like to turn the conference back over to Jim Friedland for any closing remarks.
All right, guys. So we'll see what we get. Hit
Thanks,
that
everyone,
subscribe
for joining
button
us
if
today.
you haven't already.
We look forward to speaking with you again on our third quarter 2022 call. Thank you and have a good evening.
All right, guys. So that was the Google earnings call. Again, you can see Microsoft earnings call is going on right now. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Stick around, guys. We're going to be going straight to our crypto show where we drop all the latest crypto news. And that show is starting right now. And so as soon as we close this one down, we're going to be covering all the big news in cryptocurrency on our crypto show. And so we're going to go live on that show right now. So stick around. And you don't have to go anywhere. As soon as I close the stream, it's going to bring you to our next show. It's a crypto related show where we're talking about all the latest news in Bitcoin and crypto and all that good stuff. And so, yeah, we'll see you guys over there. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys in just a second.